Here we go. Okay, introducing next on my show, we have a special guest joining me on my show, Amy Moore, an independent female vocalist, original artist, just joining me for a little bit chat about what she does and maybe talk about some of her singles she has released recently. So, Amy Moore, just want to say welcome to my show. How are you today, and where are you right now?
Oh, well, thank you for having me to start off with. Yeah, I'm doing well today. I've got a busy few weeks of gigs ahead, so I'm very excited today. Um, yeah, where am I coming from? I'm coming from Gloucestershire, so the Shire. Although I'm originally from Jersey in the Channel Islands, so yeah, that would be hometown for me.
Oh wow, yeah, I know Gloucestershire very well actually. Not going to go into that because I'm here to talk about you. And I've always wanted to visit the Channel Islands. Briefly, a beautiful place to visit. Is it? One must visit there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I think it's definitely one if you're looking for a little trip of somewhere to go that's scenic, but it's not too different in terms of it's very British in many ways. I would definitely recommend going and having a weekend away or something like that. So yeah.
Sounds good. And how long have you been singing and playing instruments for?
Oh, without giving away how old I am, I started. I've always been a bit mad on music. And I started playing the drums almost by accident when I was 10 or 11 years old. And kind of it went from there really. I'd spent a few years trying to find the right instrument that I wanted to go, that really captivated me. And I ended up learning the drums for many, many years before starting to branch out into guitar and vocals and things like that. And yeah, it was only maybe a couple of years ago that I started writing songs, and then yeah, fast forward, here I am.
Cool. And do you still combine percussion with your performing center stage still or
It's funny
recording?
because um eh, I would love to, I mean I'd love to give a whole one man band thing a go, but I think it has its biggest influence on me at the moment. I think a lot of the themes in my songs are quite rhythmical, so there's quite a lot of that comes through when I write something. I might write something and I'll have the rhythm or the phrasing in mind before I actually have the notes themselves.
Mm.
So I think that's quite a big uh, influence in that way. And I know it took me a while to be confident with things like chord progressions and all of this because I hadn't really had a background in that originally. But we're getting there. We're
Oh,
learning.
it's helpful then to have like drum patterns or drum beats, and then you
For
can
sure.
lay everything on top afterwards.
Yeah, I think it ends up, the end result with my music comes through maybe a bit. I, I certainly feel like that, I get a lot of the end result of my songs even when I've written them before they go to the point of going into production or pre-production, they're quite they can be quite different and they've all got their own beats and things like that. So it's fascinating to know how different, I always find it interesting to understand how different people write things, and because everyone's totally different. I write lyrics first personally versus, riffs or, progressions and hooks and things like that. So yeah, that's what makes people unique, I suppose.
We're also here to talk about just a couple of your singles. Is it Start of the Consequences? Is that one of your most recent releases?
Consequences was the first single that came out on the Free Spirit EP, which I released last summer. So the EP was my debut EP. So I was very lucky really. I released it over the summer last year and kind of wasn't sure where it would go, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And it got it got picked up with quite a lot of radio play and decent streaming and things like that. So it kind of encouraged me to go, all right, maybe keep doing this. So The Devil I See was the first single I released this year, which is a couple of months ago now. But I'm still very much promoting that one ahead of the next chapter.
Sure. So there might be some exciting news to be announced soon.
Yeah, very soon. So I mean, the best place to follow that is on obviously the old social media.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm hoping to have a date for the next releases imminently.
Okay.
So busy.
We'll look forward to hearing about that. So meanwhile,
Mhm.
people can enjoy your EP, Free Spirits.
Mhm.
Um, how was do you recall like last year when you were putting this together, the experience of it?
Where do I start, really? Um, the experience was really, what an amazing learning curve. As I said before, I kind of it was a bit of a passion project I pursued to start off with, where I thought, you know what, I've written um, a series of songs, and I didn't have any real sort of goals with it. I just wanted to get them recorded and put them out and kind of say, right, tick the box. I've pursued something that I think I might like to do. And if it didn't work out, then so be it. But I started doing a few gigs with it, and managed to pull together a band, and it kind of escalated from there. So it was a toe in the water initially, thinking, oh, I quite like this. I quite like writing. I'd like to produce them properly through, a studio, and yeah, it's sort of snowballed. So the next, there'll be a series of new releases coming out over the next year. And yeah, I mean, the appetite for playing them live has been surprisingly good as well, which is nice.
That's great to hear. Have you had any opportunities to like create any music videos or visualizers?
Well, I'm trying to. It's really difficult as an independent to sort of spin all the plates. And you've got to be a songwriter, you've got to be a musician and performer, you've got to be your own sort of PR person, your own promoter, you've got to be um, very organized. So on top of that, being a videographer and content creator is a lot to add on, but I'm trying. I think it's certainly I've got a few bits and bobs on YouTube, but it's definitely something over the next 6 months that I'm going to push to put together. I'm working with a very, very talented what's the word, videographer, I suppose, who is supporting me with some visualizers and music video material for the next release. And it's going to be it's going to be a really lovely concept. So I'll give you the exclusive.
Yeah,
It's
please.
the next well, if not the next, one of the next releases will be called a song called Part of My Heart, which is all about um the house I grew up in. And the concept of the song is that you've got somewhere that you've spent a lot of time, and you spent years of your life. I'm very lucky to have lived in the same house for most of my um younger years. And yeah, the whole concept is about how every nook and cranny and creaky floorboard in this house that you grow up in, but you grow up, you grow out of it, and although you might never go there again, all your memories are still sort of stored up here, and you can kind of revisit it whenever you are sort of maybe down and out, or you sort of want comforts of home. It's locked away in your memories. So
Mm.
it's part of my heart, and that's what it's going to be. So there's going to be some really nice visualizers for that.
Yeah. I'm sure many people can relate to that. I know I can, like with the old house, living in a house for like 20 years, and then
Hmm.
it's your childhood home and you leave it, and then you're still curious about, how has it changed, who's living there, and
Hmm.
have they
Yeah,
done
it's
any?
the sounds and things, like we always had the radio playing at home at the weekend or whatever, and it's little things like that. I can always uh there's always little memories of just glimpses of that are comforting, but you can't go there. Somebody else lives there now, but at the
Yeah,
same time, you can picture it exactly as it was.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a really Like, I'm really proud of this piece of work.
Yeah,
So
very
thank you.
good. We'll look forward to that. Just on a tangent, someone mentioned to my sister once, if you won the lottery, would you buy your old house? But I still think I wouldn't because it's a step back, isn't it? You've come to the present now. Sometimes it's good
Hmm.
to reflect, but live in the moment.
Exactly that. And but it's almost like we've planned this, but the sort of end of the chorus is a line that says, "Will I go back there? I don't know. My heart's still searching for somewhere where I can grow." And that's kind of the premise of the song.
Nice. So we'll won't talk any more further about that because I want to keep it as a surprise. But so we'll look forward to that. You mentioned like being an independent artist. What do you enjoy about being like self-release, working by yourself, creative freedom, and so on?
Oh, all of the above, I suppose. I think I love learning and I love taking on more, knowledge and experience with things. And I'm if I'm looking at the silver lining, I'm fortunate in the fact that, every time I do something and I I take things away from it, I learn from it, grow from it. It's tricky at times, as I said before, because you kind of got to wear all the hats. Um, and I wouldn't think, any one area, I'm not a particular expert in it, but as you said before, I've got nobody saying to me, "Oh, you can't do this and can't do that, and you can't try this something new, or you'll say the wrong thing for this." So it's creative freedom is a nicety to have, and my own time. I'm not on a particular schedule, or I don't have particular pressures for that. I've got my own pressures that I give to myself, but it is nice to not have to worry about,
And you mentioned
completely.
doing some gigs as well. Are the gigs really the ultimate kind of accolade, that you like doing, performing on stage,
I love performing on stage. I love the buzz. When you're playing live, you're fully engrossed in the moment, and it is absorbing. It's lovely. Um, I think I think so. It's tricky because I've thought about this a lot lately as to whether or not, do you want I love writing songs, but I do also love performing them, but would I be fulfilled if I just did one or the other? I don't know. I've spent a long time over the years performing live and doing covers and all of that kind of thing. So it's totally different performing your own songs live. It's definitely fulfilling, and yeah, I it's there's nothing better. I think there was a gig last year where I'm very early on in my original music career, but there was a couple of people who knew one of the songs, who were singing it along, and I that you can't beat that, people singing your music to
yeah.
you.
That's good to hear. Where's best for people to follow you, like, on social media platforms like websites, emailing lists, streaming platforms?
Absolutely. I've tried to make it easy, so all of my handles are the same. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of the above. It's all at Amy Moore Music, all one word. Um, and yeah, there's all. And if you go to my Instagram, for example, everything's linked on
Mhm.
the profile link there, so you can access loads of stuff and sign up for emails and all that jazz.
And like people, if like wish to book you for a show, they can do so through them channels, like for a concert or gig.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best thing is through one of the, I pick up all of the, another beauty of being an independent artist, I pick everything up myself on there. So any kind of messages on any social platform, or anything like that, that's the easiest way to get hold of me. And yeah, the streaming is on all the streaming platforms as well. So if you want to give everything a listen or follow on Spotify or something for the next releases, that's the way to do it.
Great. Well, thanks very much for chatting to you. Just find out a bit more about yourself and your music. It seems like we got some new music to look forward to, so we'll just watch out for that in the coming months. Yeah,
Mm,
Amy Moore joined me on today's show. Wonderful having you on.
thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.